Yes, I have decided to skip a bunch of episodes in the Shinkalion retrospective I was doing on again, off again, in order to focus on the Christmas-themed episode of Shinkalion. Welcome to Shinkansen Henkei Robo Shinkalion, episode 49. So far, we've covered up a few types of plots on this Christmas special retrospective thing. First, there's the Saving Christmas plot, which is, well, about saving Christmas, which Phineas and Ferb Christmas Vacation falls into. Then it's the Christmas Carol retellings, as in Mickey's A Christmas Carol. And then there is the whole giving to the needy plot that the Christmas tree and Good Luck Jesse NYC Christmas loosely fit into. Well, the former revolved around a bunch of orphans getting a better life, mind you, and the latter, well, the antics sort of didn't build up into that point, it sort of just swerved into there, but you get the general idea. Shinkalion's 49th episode doesn't fall into any of those categories. What it falls into is, okay, let's explain Christmas to a person who has never heard of it yet. The general rundown for those of you who haven't seen the retrospective, I haven't covered those episodes anyway in my retrospective, is that Shinobu, the driver of the E3 Shinkalion, ends up getting beaten pretty badly and he's pretty down, especially since the E3 is currently in the shop, missing an arm. Azusa, meanwhile, arrives and suggests throwing a Christmas party at the Ultra Evolution Institute, and I am glad that the fantasies of this little girl is giving me a thumbnail for this video. And of course, this would not be Shinkalion without real-world train references. Hayato references the Hiroshima Electric Railway Christmas train. Yes, seriously, I think you can fill a book with all the train trivia you learn from this series. Meanwhile, Shinobu's like, what's Christmas? After the opening, the villains are seething over losing one of their own because he betrayed them, but back to the actual pertinent question. Well, I guess a ninja who grew up isolated in a bunch of mountains probably doesn't know what Christmas is. So the boys try to explain it. Akita brings up the general aesthetics of Christmas, like the Christmas cake and the Christmas trees. Tsurunuki brings up the presents. Azusa brings up the togetherness aspect of it. I'm sure that Japan treats it as a more romantic holiday. Okay, I'm not sure about that. I don't know, maybe they didn't want to say, oh, it's a romantic holiday for the kids, or maybe they just don't generally treat it like a romantic holiday. Whatever, I'm not Japanese. And of course, Hayato brings up Hometown Express, a railway commercial from the 80s. Yes, I found it on YouTube. Yes, they even recreated parts of this commercial for this series using characters within the Shinkalion universe. And they say you can't learn anything from anime. So back to the plot. Azusa has an idea. Find Seiryu. He's exactly where he basically is normally, just in the subway. She gets a hunch that he's in the subway and happens to be right. And Seiryu is still being emo, not wanting to make friends with anyone. But hey, we need the Yule log. And the rock monster who lives underground does enjoy surface world food, apparently. So Seiryu doesn't get the Christmas bit. After all, he literally lives under a rock and only recently came up, so Azusa has an idea to explain the concept of Christmas to him. Take him to the Ultra Evolution Institute and have him meet all the boys. Hayato basically sees through their ruse pretty quickly. And when pressed who this is, Azusa says he's an exchange student from overseas named George. And they let him in on all the festivities. I do like this moment between Azusa and Seiryu. Basically, she sees potential for Seiryu and Hayato to be friends, even if this is a stepping stone and even if Seiryu really is playing the emo card very well. And honestly, what's better than a rail fan and a rail fan in denial? But because this is a giant robot anime, you need your giant monster attack. And not just any giant monster, it's one of the arc villains, Torame. And the kids lack the firepower to actually beat Torame. So the E3 should be able to deal with it using stealth tactics, but it's in the shop. Thankfully, they have another E3 in the shop as well, E3 Iron Wing. You know the drill, hit the weak points, except no, they didn't hit all the weak points because Torame is ridiculously strong. Guess who's leaping into battle now? Seiryu. So it's time to take this bull, or rather rhino, by the horn and order Shinobu to slash her throat. This works, however, that victory gets undercut by it being a body double. Till next time, says Torame. So, yeah, the boys reveal that yes, we saw through your ruse, mainly because what kind of foreigner named George knows nothing about Christmas? But hey, Shinobu learned what Christmas was. After all, he got a whole new mech. So, this episode is fun. I think my biggest problem with it is how it's a Seiryu episode nested into a Shinobu episode. It's a bit disappointing that Shinobu ends up being upstaged in his own focus episode. Not to mention, Seiryu has an arc behind him, meaning that he naturally ends up taking the show whenever he's on stage, well, in camera. So that just makes the whole E3 Iron Wing and the whole fight at the end kind of pointless. Not help but they ended up fighting a body double. If I was going to make it more balanced, I would have had Seiryu's focus episode part take place a bit earlier in the season, or maybe they would have just had Shinobu and Seiryu interact the most. Because really, they only interact in the latter, quarter of the episode, and I don't think it did either character that much good. But those are just my thoughts. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.